Okay, got it. Okay, I close this tab so you can see. Okay, I think you can see my screen, my presentation. Good morning, everybody, and thanks to Mommy for inviting me, and also for this nice introduction. So I start with my presentation, saying that I'm going to present you something about my PhD research, and we are going to focus on the excavation project of Vignale in Italy. That is one of the three case studies mentioned by Tomomi. So from onlookers to devotees, who are them? Just a moment. Okay, next. This is what I'm going to tell you. So something about participation in excavation-based projects, something about the project, the research project in Vignale, and then my research on public participation. Who are the persons who are participating in the excavation, some way of representing participation and evaluating the participation happening in the site, and then something about my new project. So to start with the premises. So I think you are mostly aware of the trends now in community archaeology. So there is a growing body of research studying participation in not only in excavation-based projects, but in general in archaeology. And so today my talk focuses on especially those countries where, as Italy, where community archaeology and studies on participation in archaeology are quite recent, although the practice on fieldwork of including people has a very long history. Participation in archaeology today is a hot topic in a way that it is mentioned from by EU documents like the Faro Convention until the small communities who live next to the excavation. I mean, everybody try to really improve this practice of involving people in research in many different ways, as we are going to see. And it is, I think, even more timely now after the COVID-19 pandemic, because citizens are eager to spend their time doing activities, outdoor activities in company. And of course, as I said, this is a topic of research that is growing in general. And so this is why we are here today. I mean, just to try to provide more research different approaches of research to this topic, because I think this is very interesting, and we have a big an excellent body of research coming from the Anglo-Saxon countries, but I think that what we see in other countries, European, African or Asian countries, is quite different, that should be approached in different ways, could be approached at least. So what I now introduce is participation in Italy very briefly, because I know better, of course, and was my topic of my PhD. And Italian archaeologists always try to involve the public, but I think that it is from the 1980s that with urban archaeology, really archaeology enter in the daily life of citizens. And because of these excavations happening in a city center, passers-by could really see archaeologists working for the first time, really in front of them. and there were some issues in the literature that arose at the time, and that many of these topics are also very actual today. So issues of heritage presentation and interpretation in a city environment, how to present these ongoing excavations to the public, how to involve volunteers, because at the beginning archaeologists really really involve volunteers for excavation and for ancillary activities related to the urban excavations. Then the things changed and then changed again. So there are trends in the last 40 years in Italy about the involvement of volunteers. And I will talk more about this. And then the importance of archaeology in terms of urban regeneration, so the value that these excavations can have also in a urban environment. And now, I mean, in the last decade, also in Italy, this commitment to public participation has always, although it has always been evident, was not researched. But now, okay, over the last decade, this started with books, with papers, and with some label like Archaeologia Partecipata, participative archaeology, that resembles community archaeology. Of course, this Archaeologia Partecipata has some specific traits, like a practical-oriented approach. So, as I said, more practice than research. A high number of original initiatives, such as a guided tour, many kinds of events and promotion, and after bottom up. So from the community, this initiative started from the community and not from the archaeologists. But now I think the most important thing is the lack of data and evaluation. That really was the gap that I tried to address with my research. Some elements that maybe you can also recognize in your experience or not. In Italy, the most successful participatory projects have the support from local institutions, above all the municipalities. When there is no support from the municipalities, the things are getting really more difficult, too much difficult, and then the project probably work for a year and then stop. The awareness that the collaborative approach is an inherent part of, and not a superfluous addition to, the research agenda. So this idea has really struggled to get affirmed, and it's still really struggling, because the research on community archaeology is very young, and so it needs time to get developed. And also the commitment of university and superintendents, that is the state agency which manage archaeology in Italy, in the organization of outreach activities. So it's very important to have all these local institutions, university and superintendents really on your side. So today I want to focus from all these different participatory projects on a concept that is excavation as a contact zone, because I think that in my experience, this is me on the excavation with 2 visitors, excavation really, when it is ongoing, especially when research is ongoing, it is a really attractive and a venue where people come and they want to know about the research. And so this is a concept already developed in literature by, especially in Amilakis Theou, and excavation can really can be really defined as a contact zone where several kinds of encounters may take place, such as between archaeologists and other specialists, archaeologists and different groups of citizens, but also people come to have this interaction with time, with the past, especially physical space. And so in my research, I started from encounters, because I think that is the basic unit of participative dynamics, is where participation really starts. So starting from the cover photo of this talk, this is a photo from an event we ran in Vignale some years ago. I think it's quite interesting and quite explicative by itself. So we are going to, the start, we are going to focus on the archaeological site, of course, because you asked me to focus on a case study. So I think it's good to start from the excavation. So the setting, Uomini, cose a Vignale, it is the name of the project, People and Things at Vignale in English. It is located, the archaeological site of Vignale is located in Tuscany, next to Alba Island, if you know the area. The university is managed in a way by University of Siena, and you can find more information, but unfortunately only in Italian, on this website. So the archaeological site of Vignale, the research project in Vignale started in 2003, but everybody knew that in that field there were Roman remains, because since the main work on the field started with the plough in decades ago, since the 70s and the 80s, Roman remains were visible on in the field. So, and was a field where treasure hunters went to get these remains. It's quite typical in Italy in a way. But then in 2003, really a big wall emerged after this working with the plough. And so research started from the University of Siena. And now, after almost 20 years, there is a very big site, extended site on this in this field. There are some things that are visible, like a farm from the 3rd to 2nd century BC, a Republican villa, a series of kiln for bricks on this side. I hope you can see my my arrow. And then there is a posting station where travelers stop during the Roman time, and then started again for the next day. A light antique villa in this side, on this part of the site, that is very rich. And then something that is not visible, a huge Roman therma, a medieval cemetery that is here, and the ancient Roma road, the Via Aurelia, that was running bit more out of this picture, but below. Why did I choose this picture? Because here you can see that there is this main road, modern road, next to the site. And this has been always very important in terms of the development of the community archaeology project, because as you can imagine, people, although the street is very, I mean, there is always a lot of traffic, people used to stop with a car and come to us and ask information about the site. And this is where encounters started. How encounters started. So there are many things in the site, like I told you, a pottery kiln, just to show you some photo, Emancio, the Roman posting station, Roman villa with some luxurious pavements, and these burials and fallen roofs. So there are many stories to tell to those who come to the site. This is a very important thing in a way, because without research, you have nothing to tell. Without research, yeah, it's much more difficult to, I would say impossible to start a community archaeology project. And this was the turning point of our project, because in 2014, this mosaic, we found this mosaic that is a 4th century AD mosaic, 100 square meter mosaic, and it is the largest mosaic of this epoch in Italy, in central Italy, and represented the god Ion in the center with the 4 seasons at each angle of this section. The mosaics has been repaired, and there are different phases, at least 6 of these mosaics running from the 4th to the 6th century AD. And this mosaic really attracted a lot of people. All newspaper wrote about this mosaic, and we had really, we benefit in terms of attention from this discovery, and this allowed us to really promote the project. Parallelly to the research, we since 2009 we started working at the site with different communities living nearby. We started with children because we had always very good contact with local schools, but over the last decade we started having events during evening where we present the site to visitors, and then all together we had this like common dinner really outside the fence, and many much more activities. Now I did a selection just to explain, just to proceed with the talk. But I mean, from a treasure hunters field, this is becoming a field where to experience the past, where different groups can experience the past. It is also a place where people can find their identity, because these people who you can see in these photos come from a nearby village, Riotorto, which is like 2 kilometers from the site. It is a modern village which has been founded in the 19th century, and so it is not, there is no municipality there. It's a small village, and they really lack a proper identity. People there are really lack a proper identity, and we try to really build together an identity. And they come and participated in our activities that regard, in a way, their past. So, who are these people? Because now I just give you a brief summary, but I'm going to tell you more, of course. In these photos, for example, we see this group of people over there, and there are visitors who come from different parts of Tuscany to see the site, and with students from the University of Siena who leads this, led these guided tours. And then we see here associations member on the left with the green t-shirt, and students that wear some clothes from the 18th century, because we were giving like theatrical performance, narrating some of the events happening in Vignale along the history. So they are students, 2 students on the right. And then here there is another archaeologist, the project co-director. So when we do these activities, everybody is involved, from students to the co-directors, and of course the help of local associations. This is to introduce the character. Why I chose the word characters? Because it's like if I use the word public, I think this means nothing to me, because public for me does not exist in a way, because persons are not the public anymore when you knew them individually. In a way, there are different kind of characters, and they are public only when you don't know them. This is a way to introduce encounters, because through encounters, encounters happen at the edge of the excavation every day. They can be unexpected or take place in official venues. And encounters are also the basic unit of participation. It is where a complex participatory dynamic starts. And also we will close with the evaluation of these dynamics. But the important thing is that what you saw in the photo, it's like the final step when we already encountered those people, and we involved the students, we involved the associations, and we did this event. And this is a participatory dynamic in my approach, and this is the final step of developing a dynamic for encounters. And then these encounters should be evaluated in a way to understand if what are the effects, what it works, what it doesn't work. I'm not going to now to explain this, but it's like that I'm trying to explain to tell you how I work, like trying to combine some theories, some approaches from the heritage studies to community archaeology, and try to through them to study, to do research on what we do practically on the field with these events. So some events can help people having a direct intellectual dynamic of access, so they really participated in the initiative, or can have an emotional dynamic of access. This can be planned in advance, or maybe could happen unexpectedly, and then I think it's very important to understand what the event really managed to get from the visitors, from those who participated in the event. So as the first encounter, meeting the onlooker, don't call them passive spectators. I mean, of course, when excavation is like a theater, and then in some kind of initiatives, there is a relationship similar to performer audience. The archaeologist is the performer, and the audience are the onlookers, those visitors who come to know more about the site. And there is some educational public relation approaches, and then you can usually there is a passive physical and then direct intellectual dynamic of study. So you really go there to listen to what the archaeologist is telling you, and sometimes you manage to have an emotional involvement depending especially on what you see. But in any case, these are good initiatives to foster social value at heritage sites. For example, guided tour. So we said, like, there is the archaeologist talking, and then the others who are listening to the explanation, let's say. But there are also unexpected encounters. Can happen one-to-one. So this is Massimo, the motorbiker, and he came to the site twice. The first time we spoke together about the burials who were excavating in that moment, and this. Although, I mean, he came with the motorbike, he was a very high man. He started crying because he saw these burials, and so he told me, like, oh yeah, I am a writer, so maybe I can. I got inspired from these burials, and maybe I'm going to write about this excavation. Then he came another time, but then I didn't see him anymore since 2018. So this is like a kind of encounter where you have a first approach with a person, and this encounter can continue in time or can stop. This time with Massimo we stop because I didn't see him anymore, but who knows, maybe in the future he can come back, because we have this encounter, we exchange our ideas. He told me what he's interested in, and so we don't know, maybe in the future he can come back. And this encounter can develop in something more than encounter with an onlooker. For example, lay people as ambassadors. So this guy on the right is a young student from high school who spent some time with us within a program. And then in this day where we had the event with all the community, he brought his father on the site, and then he was explaining to him what he did during the time spent with us. And so he really managed to involve, a member of his family, but he is explaining to him what he did. And I think this is very important thing, because it's not only archaeologists who have to take the initiative and involve people, but then it can also be other people, the people who are closer to us, who work with us closer, who can really involve others from the community. For example, this is what one of on the interview that I collected for my research. And this is very interesting, I think. What I like most is the continuous state of flux of the research. So it is like a television series. Year after year, the audience, the participant wait for the start and the conclusion of the series to know the new developments. Moreover, here people can have an active role. So it's very important that the research is ongoing. People come more times during an excavation campaign to know the news. And this is one of the way onlookers come back. Digger is exhausting, of course. It's a active physical dynamic of access, and laypersons want to try to experience excavation. The digging is very popular. I mean, it's the popular imagery of archaeology for many people. So in Vignale, we have no diggers. So, because I got many feedback. A lack of time is a tiring activity. Of course, our community is not made of young people, let's say. So this is is something really expected. And the only diggers are the students. And moreover, since 2016, non-archaeologists are not allowed to dig in Italy. So this could be, something we could discuss for 2 hours. But in any case, this is the rule, the law. So now we couldn't, in any case, have any excavators, any diggers who are not archaeologists. Sometimes archaeologists could follow the indications from others, like this old man, Lino, who were telling in 2010 where the mosaics was. We didn't trust him. We didn't find at least the mosaic at the time, but we found it 5 years later where exactly he indicated us. So in a way, okay, this was very disappointing, but it's very important that also members of the local communities try to get engaged with research, proper research. Meeting the devotee. The devotee is the last encounter that I try to explain to you, I think is the most important one in a way, because the devotee is always right in the sense that it is a person who supports and takes part in the project without being involved in the hands-on activity. And for Vignale, this is very important. because it's not only a person who want to stay updated on about the work in progress as the onlooker, but it is also a person who wants to actively participate by, for example, organizing an event or providing support with services to archaeologists and to the excavation campaign. So it is, of course, a really practical-oriented kind of encounter. For example, Giuseppe in 2017, he saw a wheeling barrow that was broken, and then he went back to the next city and he bought for us a wheeling barrow. But not only, then we started from this encounter, he wanted to organize guided tours for his friend of the university for old people, and so 2 weeks later we had this guided tour in Vignale. But Giuseppe is the one who said, like, I don't feel like to dig, it's too hard for me, but I can help in other ways. So in the way I just explained, I show you in the photo. And then another example is Mario, that came to the site in 2009 with his nephew, and then he came back again in 2015 with his nephew again. That is now that was a student from the high school. So Mario is like wearing the same shirt, but I mean, it's like the fact that he comes back every year, and then he is really supportive to us. It really shows how excavations and the project managed to provoke to develop a sense of belonging in the people who are following the project. This is very important because those who come as devotees, who come very often, they really want to participate in what is going on, even from the side of research. They want to know, and they try, then they start to making hypotheses, and they really challenge, in a way, the archaeologists who are working there. So this is what also the project director, Enrico Zanini, said. I present the works in progress 1 million times, and each time I manage to extract new pieces of research and information to make new associations and enriching research. So this is, I think, a kind of development from the first encounter, from the lookers to devotees, and then the devotees really wants to participate with his new hypothesis to research sometime. And then archaeologists, then the last step. So far we have seen like one-to-one encounter. Now I show you that starting from the school, from the teachers, we managed to get children on the excavation, doing some activities, some laboratories according to their age. And then we did something together with them that I'm not going to show you now, like a video and so on. But then also we join forces with the local associations who are very active in the territory, and they putting together schools and local associations, we managed to create, for example, this comic book with 5 stories set in Roman times in 2015. So it's like from one encounter, the other encounter, together we managed to get this synergy and to produce an outcome in a way. And then also, thanks to the association, as I told you, some promotional line on site. So the event the event represented in the cover photo, events on the site, top-down approach, because the archaeologists need to plan the activities according to what is going on in the excavation season, what we are studying. And with the support of the local association, we managed to get these events really ongoing on the site. And sometimes we managed to display exceptional finds And these, of course, plays a major role in fascinating the attendees. But then maybe the most unexpected line is this one, the offsite, because then the local associations started invited us archaeologists to their event. So for one example only, there is this artichoke fest in Rio Torto, where thousands of people come in a month, and many times we have, I mean, we are now regular participants in this fest. We have a stand where we can present the project to the people, and also we help behind the scene in the in the kitchen. And so because these people need really help to manage all this crowd, and so of people coming to eat, and so we really support them with I went many times behind the kitchen and help them to, I mean, for 4 hours to manage all the day. I mean, and so I think it's very important this, because they consider us as part of the local community, and they offer us a space where to present our research, and we as an we try to help them. We support the event as they support our events when we are doing the event on site. This is the last slide of this section. The sustainability of the research project. This is from encounters. We managed to create a network, and then this network, in a way, sustained the project with in-kind services. Like we have the local supermarket who provide us with food, and then some touristic facilities who provide us with places where to where we can where students can sleep and can live during the excavation campaign, and so on. So of course this creates we managed to create this network that is proven to be durable over like a decade. To conclude, excavation as a metabolic system. For me, these things matter. During my research, I talked with this psychologist who visited the site, Valentino Herculiani, who proposed the metaphor of the excavation as a metabolic system to describe the participation ongoing in a project like Vignale. Because the metabolism of a system may be simple or complex, but it works because there are a series of mechanisms that are coordinated with each other. And an excavation design as public archaeology project needs to be efficient in terms of its relationship. So it works basically if these relationships works, if encounters keep happening. The desire to participate in the functioning of the project emerges from the capacity of the system to create a relational dimension. So people really participated because these things matter. The excavation matters to them. They want to participate in providing their expertise. For example, local associations are very organized, and then if we need to do an event, we can ask them, and they are glad to support us. But if we propose to them, okay, let's come and dig with us, no, they don't want, because it's not the it's not something that it is of interest for them. So each player play his role in a way in Vignale, and everything started from these encounters that I showed to you. Now, I am a little bit, I have not much time remain, but just to say that all this system worked, and for a long time. And now I started my research, my PhD research, we had this need to understand better what was going on, because you know, you see all these dynamics under your eyes every day when the excavation campaign is ongoing, and it seems that you know everything because you see it with your eyes. But on the other side, there are many things that, in fact, you don't see. You don't see what the needs of the people are. You don't see what can happen, for example, in the next future. And it's better to we found that was the time to start an evaluation and to have feedback on these activities, to be aware of expected and most of all unexpected effects that were going on, and I mean, really criticize our approach. I think this is very helpful. Was very helpful, and in a way, it managed to it lets you address how we want, as a project, archaeology to be in relation with modern society. So now, okay, it's 43. I don't have time, fortunately, to explain the operational methodology that I set up in my research, but you can find it in the book that is going to be published soon. Just I want just to show one part as a combination of tools. That is this stakeholder analysis that I found very important, because this is like a list of all the partners who have a part in the project. The insiders are those who have a say in the decision-making process, so superintendents, municipality, university. Outsiders are those who most of the time participate more directly to the life of the excavation projects, but who they have no say in theory in the decision-making process. And then there are potential stakeholders who are those who can participate in the project eventually in the future. And this is important because these represent the project, the people, the partners, with working with the project in 2018. But if I'm going to do now again this analysis, I would find I would have a completely different, a very different result, especially after COVID, of course. And this is, I think, very important because it helps you to keep track of where the project is going in terms of community archaeology dynamics, and what are the interests of those who work with you in this project. So, of course, this is something that can be useful in the time, over the time. I combine this with other kind of analysis. Now I don't have time. I want to conclude only with this series of slides on participation milestones. So basically, the output of this analysis. We found out that participation in Vignale is really embedded in the territory, because the resident communities can meet their own archaeology, their own past. They can listen to stories set in the past and know more about the ancient remains. So in this sense, it is not surprising to see that from my evaluation that the educational value is the most attested value in the stakeholder analysis. This could be expected, but not as much as the analysis showed. And then participation of the resident community. The inhabitants of Riotorto, as I mentioned before, identify themselves as the resident community. However, there is a strong sense of belonging in relation to the various associations based in the village. In this sense, each, oops, sorry, something wrong. in the village. These sense each associations may be considered a small community. This is something interesting because there are many associations in Rio Torto, and each one of them wants to participate in the project, but not with other associations involved. So this is like a dynamic that it really surprised us at the beginning. But okay, we could do nothing. So we just are very much engaged with the organized event, different events, because each associations want to have an event with us. So this is an interesting dynamic. At least it was like this for years until before the COVID. Participation in an ever-evolving project. I think this is very important. This is the most important point, because the development of the project, as I told you, has been shaped around the relationships with stakeholders, and along with the core of long-standing stakeholders, others leave and join the project every year. Over the years, the number of stakeholders has been increasing, apparently providing a project with a fragile durability, in the sense that there are other projects who are who have a very stable management. Like, okay, we got these funds from this funding scheme. Each year we have this amount of funds, so we know what we can do, what we cannot do. With Vignale, it's a little bit different, because we are offered these in-kind services from the community. So some years maybe a stakeholder cannot participate, as others maybe don't want to participate that year. So, okay, so far we managed. I mean, each year we have an excavation season, but that is really valuable for those who support us. I mean, they really provide their services to us and their time. So it's something that in a way they control. They do, because these things matter for them. I think this could be a pro, could be a con in many ways. We could discuss this. But this is a very evident milestone of this project. The end, and finishing, the next chapter. As I told you, the situation has changed a lot after COVID. We are still now having a new situation, have to set a new situation, a new stable situation to run the project. But at least I participated in a Marie Curie fellowship, and I got the funds for a project on archaeology and well-being that I started in June. The idea is to involve other kind of stakeholders, to be more inclusive, and also to evaluate the community well-being. So the idea is to create activities where people, part of vulnerable groups, such as people with mental health issue in Vignale, do and experience these activities alongside members of the association, members of the community, and so try to understand if this can be can make people's life better, both referring to the people who have mental health issue, or the people of the community. So I think it's a good start after COVID, and for the project. Of course, also other things are ongoing, but now it's just to mention that this is in a way another kind of encounters that we are going to develop and to study. This is some information on my book, Unforgettable Encounters, that is going to be published soon by Archaeopress, and where you find many of the themes that I try to present today. and also much more information about the methodology and the analysis that I use to do the evaluation of the project, and some bibliography. Okay, then I can send to you. And thanks for your attention. Okay, it's 50 minutes. I think it's a good timing.
Thank you, Francesco.
Thank you.
So now we want to open for the question and answers. It's anybody have a question? You can raise your hand or you can write in the chat. I'm going to activate the chat now. Any questions?